this Hangout going really soon. I'm just looking to make sure that this link is available for everyone if they'd like to sign on and join and actually be able to ask questions. So I'm actually on Facebook right now, and I'll post this and get some feedback. Ah, I see someone else. Cool. So it looks like the link is working. Hi. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute anyone who isn't me for now, and then if anybody has any questions, there is a little chat box to your left, and you can click on that, ask me a question in the chat, and actually I'm going to wait just another minute or so because I think we have somebody coming on here in a minute. And hi, and looks like we do have another. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, I'm going to mute everybody now just so there isn't any feedback. And if you guys have questions, feel free to click the chat, the little blue dialog box on your left. Something will pop up on your screen on your right. And actually, for now, since there are only a couple of us, oh, sorry, I'm still learning this right now. Nope, I'm doing it again. I will figure this out right now. Okay. So actually, since there are only 3 of us right now on live, I'm going to unmute so you guys can actually talk if you'd like. And there is a little bit of a lag. So if you have any questions and they're not getting through, feel free to you can use the, now I don't know how to unmute you. Feel free to use the chat box. And although you guys can also mute and unmute yourself a little bit. Okay, so I'll just officially get started. I'm Callie Lane. I am an Access Consciousness certified facilitator. So that means that I, in addition to being able to facilitate the bars, and I can also do the body processes, I can do this awesome 5 Days to Change Your Life class, which consists of 1 day of the bars, 2 days of foundation, and then 2 days of level 1. And, you know, from there are a bunch of other things, like I think my dad is presenting to everyone right now. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, so here I am, for real. Okay, so if anybody, well, the reason I wanted to do this Hangout was so that anybody could ask any questions about me, get to know me, ask about the 5-day class, like what is it, what would I get from it, or anything else. And I know for me, a lot of times when I've been looking at classes or have already chosen a class, a lot of times stuff comes up for me. So either beforehand going, okay, is this the right class to do? How do I know? What can I do, or how can I figure that out? What questions can I ask? Or if I've already chosen it and registered or something, sometimes I start going, and there's like this thing that comes up that can be kind of like fear, but what if it's not? And so I wanted to be able to address any of that for anybody who has any questions like that. And by the way, if you're totally new to Access, it's all about questions. It's about asking the question, being the question. So if you have any questions whatsoever, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Ask the question. And a lot of times what we'll find is that the question that you have, probably a lot of other people have as well. So the more collaborative it can be, the better. And your contribution to everybody else too. So I guess I'll just start with some basic info about the class. So it's actually starting on the 23rd in Las Vegas, and that first day is the bars class. Goes for 5 days. The bars is just 1 day. And during the bars class, you get to learn these points on the head that are where you store all of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, considerations, attitudes from any lifetime. So there are different points. There's a point for money, there's a point for healing, there's body, sexuality, creativity, joy, sadness. And what happens is that in these bars points, we store all of these. Any conclusion that you've ever come to, that you've ever locked into place, when you put your hands on the head and ask the bars to run, it actually dissipates that charge. So it's like going into your computer's hard drives and deleting files and defragging all at the same time. Which is kind of logical. It actually creates a lot more space, so you get to be more space. You have more ease in your body. And each time you do it, it creates more and more space for you to be able to receive. So this is actually a really cool way to be able to begin the 5 days, is with this whole class that's all about releasing stuff without even having to like do anything. You get to lay there on the table and just receive a session, and you get to learn these points and sit there and just hold these points, and stuff changes. And it's kind of cool because when you're giving a session, you actually get to receive a session too. So like, let's say you're laying on the table and I've got my hands on your head and I'm running your bars. If I have any points of view that are like the ones that you're getting rid of, I go too. So you give a session, you get a session. So it's kind of cool. So during the bars class, you get to receive 2 sessions, give 2 sessions, and you get a take-home manual that goes over a whole bunch of stuff, including all of the bars points. If you ever have any questions about the bars, there's a lot of stuff in there and a lot of information in that manual. And you also get a full day of facilitation. It's really different. If anybody's just had a bars session and you haven't had a bars class yet, this is really awesome because you get 4 sessions during the class, but it's really different than if you were just to go get 4 sessions at a practitioner. Having the other people there, the more people in the class, actually, the more generative the energy can be and the quicker things can release and change. And then, excuse me, so there's that. And there's just something different about being able to be in that space for the whole day. And as you go on, it's like more shifts and more shifts and more shifts. And the results that you get and the changes that you can have are exponential. So, and this is just the 1 day. So the next 2 days are the foundation. The 2 days after that are the level 1. So if you can imagine that much change over and over and over and over, that amount of dynamic change over the 5 days, it really is exponential to be able to do all those together. It's just awesome. So the foundation is 2 days, and that's where we go into more of the tools about here's where you've been functioning, like how have you been functioning from, or how have you been functioning in your life, and how is that working out for you? So the places that aren't working so much, we have these really awesome tools that can eliminate where you've been functioning, old beliefs, stuff like that just aren't working for you. Things that you've tried to do over and over, and it's like you think it should work, and it just doesn't work the way you want it to. Or things don't show up the way that you think they should. Or things start seeming to go downhill instead of uphill. So it's kind of like wiping away and unlocking the foundation from which you've been functioning. It's called the foundation because it is those foundational basic tools. And it's kind of cool. I like it because it really does. It's like, well, what if you just wanted to eradicate your foundation and change that? So that's really great. We teach a lot of tools during the class that are really easy to take home, and we get to do a lot in the class and change a lot during the class. So like I said before, it's really question-based. There's a whole manual you'll get for the foundation as well, but ask questions. If you have any question, if there's anything that you'd like to change, it's really dynamic to be able to actually do that in class, and it's such a contribution to yourself, to the class, and the other participants, and it can change so much. So from there are 2 days of level 1, and that builds on the tools that you've learned and also starts to show you more how to create from this new space without creating your life based on those old points of view, old beliefs, and all that. So it's kind of more like, well, instead of creating your life based on the past, which is where we lock those points of view in, what other choice could you have? What could you do instead? Maybe you don't have to lock any of it in. And maybe there's a whole lot more available to you with much more ease than you've ever had before. A lot of times after people have taken the 5-day class, at the end of the class we ask, okay, so think back to, like, try to, like, bring up that energy or think back to who you were 5 days ago. And people are like, you know, like, they can't really do it because it's so different. And the thing that's really cool about that is that when something's, like, really, like, eradicated, something's that different, it's not really there. It's like, you might not even remember what it was. It's like, wait, what the heck? You're just totally different. You don't have those same reference points that you're functioning from. So that's my favorite thing, is just seeing the, whoa, I didn't even know this could exist. Or, oh my gosh, I totally remember, like, this is what I've been looking for so long, and I forgot. Or I thought I couldn't have it. Or something else. So those are some of my favorites. Like I said, feel free to ask any questions if you have anything. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. And if you have a question too that you're like, I don't even know if this is what we're talking about, you can ask anyway. So we'll see. So that's the 5-day, the gist of the 5-day. And what would you like to create? So one of the things that I like to do when I am trying to see, like, what class I should do, or just make choices and make decisions in general, is, this is my favorite question, and it's all about asking questions. So if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And 5 years is just long enough that you can't really cognitize it. You can't be like, oh yeah, next month, well, this would probably happen, and this would probably happen, and look like this. And you can't really do that so much. So it's kind of nice because you can actually, like, get the energy of it if you're willing to. Just ask, okay, so if I choose the 5-day, what will my life be like in 5 years? If I choose to, whatever it is. That has been amazing for me in my business, especially making business decisions. And I've recently made some big ones. Changing my rates, completely changing how I do everything. Basically starting a whole new business. And it's been pretty dynamic. So what happens, if you're new to Access as well, I'm going to go back to some of the basics that we'll be learning tomorrow if anybody's coming to the Being Magic, Manifesting with Ease class, or also going way more into in the 5-day as well. So one of the things that we talk about is that the truth will make you feel lighter and a lie will make you feel heavier. So whatever's true for you, even just saying that, it's kind of like, it could show up for you different ways. It could be like your whole body just relaxes, or you breathe that sigh, or things lighten up, or sometimes people even have, like, visually, it's almost like it gets brighter. Sometimes it's just a knowing, and that's probably the most common. But basically the truth is going to make you feel lighter. A lie will make you feel heavier. So if I were to tell you that you're never going to do anything with your life and you're always going to be stuck where you are right now, does that make you feel lighter or heavier? Probably heavier, I'm going to assume. At least it did for me. So what if it's actually just not true for you? And what happens a lot of the time is that we believe so much what other people tell us. What other people tell us is true or right, or we look where other people have been functioning from, and we assume, oh, well, that must be just the way it is. But what if that's totally not true for you, and you actually have a totally different choice available there? So the other side of that is, like, what if I were to tell you that you are way more dynamic and, like, a massive creator of magnitude, far greater than anyone has ever acknowledged, far greater than you've ever acknowledged? So does that make you feel lighter or heavier? And however it is, like, see the difference between those two, and that kind of gives you an indicator of, like, what light is for you and what heavy is for you. So that is what we're using when we're asking these questions, such as, okay, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? You might get like a, or you might get this, oh. Or they might actually, you can ask, sometimes you can ask a couple things, they'll both be like. And then it's kind of fun because then you get to just play with, okay, well, what feels fun? So that is like an intro to light and heavy, an intro to asking questions. That's just one question, and it can be pretty dynamic. Let's see, what else? I'm just adjusting here a little bit. So if anybody's having questions about like getting things to show up for you, manifesting, the class that I'm doing tomorrow night, it's called Being Magic, Manifesting with Ease, and it starts at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. And it's going to be probably about an hour class, and we're going to go into a lot of these tools on how to create whatever it is that you'd like to create. So if things haven't been showing up for you the way that you'd like, or just at all, then it can really help with that. It's really great for people who've done other, like any sort of metaphysical work or anything like that, where they talk a lot about manifesting, and it's just like, there's just something missing, or it just doesn't quite work. Or if you haven't done that and you don't have a clue how to get things to show up, that can work too. And I'm going to pause this for just a second. So sorry, hold on. Okay, there we go. I was trying to unmute the microphone. All right, sorry about that. It looks like we have some questions from in-house that aren't getting through. So, a little break there for you to think of your own or play with light and heavy. So, yeah, if the audio isn't working, feel free to use the chat. And once again, if you have any questions, this might not work. I have no idea how to do this on the phone. If you're on your computer, there should be a little screen. On the top left of the screen is a little blue comment box. Click on that or hover over it, it'll say chat. And then the chat will come up on the right. And you'll be able to find a spot where it says enter chat message or link here. And you'll be able to type, enter, all that good stuff. So, all right, okay, so the class tomorrow, Being Magic, Manifesting with Ease. There's nothing that I'm going to talk about today that we're not going to be doing in depth in the 5-day class as well. And again, it's totally based on your questions. So yeah, we have a manual during the class, but anything that you ask, I guarantee you, is going to be able to relate to something in there anyway. So really, like, the questions are so generative and they're totally pertinent to your life. So, so those are really nice. Oh, I didn't mention, there are a couple of things that we get to do in the level 1 class that we don't do in the foundation. So there are the bars, which are the points on the head, and they're like defragging your brain in the level 1, and you get to do one each day of level 1. Then you actually get to do some hands-on work. There are 2 body processes that are really dynamic, and one of them is called MTVSS, like it's not an acronym, sorry, it's an abbreviation, and it stands for Molecular Terminal Valence Sloughing System. Don't worry about it. It's basically getting rid of any dysfunction or dis-ease that has been created in the body, unlocking thoughts, feelings, and emotions from where it has been locked into the body. And then the other one that we get to do on the second day is called biomimetic mimicry. And that is really cool because it's about anywhere that we've like seen somebody doing something and we don't really get it and we try to duplicate it as if duplicating it is going to make us understand it. But unfortunately, because it wasn't really true for us in the first place, we're actually not able to, we're just pretending, kind of. So it's anywhere you've locked that into yourself, your life, or your body. And you can actually create your body that way. Not usually so well, but it's about unlocking all of that. So they're really dynamic processes. And Nancy has a question. So she asks, I'm curious how to really frame questions. I sometimes feel like I'm being silly. Um, that is a great question. So how do you actually frame the questions? It's kind of easy going. If you have any question about anything, a lot of times where I start with is I'm like, I feel kind of like there's something going on here, or I feel kind of stuck in something. I don't even necessarily know where to start with the questions, and a really, really is going to sound silly, so maybe it's perfect. But a really dynamic question that can open up a lot can even be, okay, what question can I ask here? And usually if there's something coming up for me, I start with, okay, what is this? Also, like, it seems so simple that it would be so easy to just disregard. But a lot of times we come to the conclusion before we've even considered asking a question. It could be body pains. It could be where you're going in your business. It could be any why you've decided you can or cannot do anything. And we usually have these points of view before we even think, well, hold on, is this actually true for me? Which is another question, by the way, which is awesome. So start in anything that pops into your head. Anything at all can actually be a contribution to, if nothing else, changing it. And sometimes it's like it takes a little bit, and then you'll be like, that's the question. So what question can I ask here? What is this? 4 questions to change anything. What is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? And what would it take for this to change? If you're wondering about asking questions to me, like if there's anything you've been wondering about, cool. If you're thinking about something that's coming up for you, you can also just say like, okay, this has been coming up for me. What is this? Or what do I do with this? Or I really want to change this. What's it going to take? And actually, what would it take to change this is also a really dynamic question. And it might even sound like I'm being redundant because I've said so many of these things are really dynamic questions, but the fact that you're asking a question itself is really dynamic because what we do most of the time and what we've been taught to do is find the answer. Come to a conclusion, find the answer. We're taught to judge. We're taught to find a conclusion. It's like, okay, are you a good judge of character? Are you a good critical thinker? Are you doing things the right way? Like, okay, if I follow this business plan, or however somebody else did this, or followed their diet, or followed their whatever, it worked for them, so it should work for me. So is that actually a question, or is that a conclusion? So how much does that limit what you're willing to receive? So whenever you come to a conclusion, does it actually like offer you more possibility, or does it close off the other possibilities? And if you were to ask a question instead, does that actually change what's available to you? If you were to ask a question, does that create more possibility or less? Usually more. And then you may have also heard the difference between kind of like a real question or a statement or conclusion with a question mark attached. If you don't know which one it is, start anywhere. And the difference usually is, okay, if something were going on and you were like, oh, what is so wrong with me? It's a conclusion because you've already decided there's something wrong with you. So starting like, it's like starting way before you can even get to that point with like the what is this? Or what am I aware of here? Or there are so many other questions that could be asked, is a really great place to start before you even decide anything's wrong. A lot of times when we think there's something wrong in our lives, it's actually something greater about to show up if you let it. So I hope that helps. Oh, and then some. Yeah. Let's see. So we just have a few minutes left. Okay. So actually, she does have another. She wrote, yes. I find I want to judge it and have closure, how not to close my options. Okay, keep availability. Yes, it helps a lot. So that's good. And actually, I didn't even mention this one, that whole light and heavy thing. You can ask, okay, so is this an awareness or is this a judgment? And even if like a judgment would normally be heavier, if you ask, is this a judgment, that's going to feel really light because you're actually being aware of what's going on. So you can do that too if you're like, I don't even know if this is or not. And then another one that could be good is there anything else I need to be aware of here? So, and it's still open for questions till we're done, if anybody has any. And otherwise, so tomorrow night is Being Magic Manifesting with Ease, and that's going to be about an hour. It's only $15, so it's really easy. And I'm going to be sending out the links probably around noon Pacific time. I'll check in as late as I can to make sure that I can get the dial-in information, but that is going to be great because it's a telecall, so you can do it from home, you can do it in your PJs, you can do it from anywhere. And so the payment for that one, there are a couple different things. There are links on the Facebook page, which you can actually look up Being Magic Manifesting with Ease, or you can look up me, Callie Lane, or probably even easier would be Body Integrity, and that's facebook.com/Body Integrity. And the other thing you can do is if you go to Body Integrity Clinics, CLINICS.com, that on the homepage there's a registration link, there's a payment link, and it should be easy. Of course, you can always email me if you have any questions at Callie@bodyintegrityclinics.com, or you can message me on Facebook as well. So that's what's tomorrow, and I'm really excited for that one because it was gonna be originally, it was just gonna be to sort of like, this was going to be like the information. I was going to be like, what's going on for you guys? And here's this call where we can really go into it. There hasn't actually been a lot of questions, but the ones that have been are kind of like general, how do I create this? And how do I do this questions? So it's turned into a whole like manifesting class. So it's going to be really fun. And they're like some of my top 2 favorite classes. It's so dynamic. It can address so many different things. And they're just really fun. Okay, so there's that one. On Friday, if you listen to 702 Rocks, then you'll probably already know the Internal Energies show. And if you don't, check it out. And you can check them out on Facebook too at 702 Rocks Internal Energies. And I'm going to be a guest on the radio show. The show's from 2 to 3 Pacific time. And I'm really excited. Minette and Michelle are the hosts, and I'm so excited that they're going to have me on. We're going to be introducing another tool. Don't know which one yet, so we'll see. And so that's going to be really fun. We're going to talk a little bit about the classes that's coming up as well and introduce a tool. So since we talked about the asking questions tonight, we might go into that a little more, or we might talk about choosing in 10-second increments, or interesting point of view. There are so many we could do. So it'll be really fun as well. And there was a third thing. No, the third thing is the 5 days. So if anybody has any questions, the bars is a prerequisite for the foundation. Foundation's a prerequisite for level 1. And you don't have to do them all together. So if you have never taken a bars class, you just want to do a bars class, Minette and I are actually both going to be facilitating a bars class on the 23rd. And if you've already taken a bars class, you don't want to take another one, or you've taken a few and you don't want to take another one, or you can't make it, you can start with just the foundation. There are a couple of people who are doing just the 4 days. And same thing. So there are those, once you've taken a 5-day, or once you've gotten through the level 1 class, so many classes open up for you. There are Dr. Dane Here's classes that people like a lot, the energetic synthesis of being. And from there are a couple others as well. Gary Douglas and Dane Here. So Gary Douglas is the Access Consciousness founder. I just realized I haven't talked about Access at all. or where it came from during this hangout, so I'll give you guys a little blurb in a second. But he's the founder of Access Consciousness, and the level 2 and 3 class, which is really dynamic, goes even more into how to create your life and different aspects of that, a lot into the body as well. So that's another one, and there are so many. There's a 3-day body class where it's all hands-on for 3 days, and you learn 50-something really dynamic processes for different things. And if you have any questions about those classes, feel free to contact me if you have any questions. But if you can also go to www.accessconsciousness.com, where you can find everything there. And those are the classes. So quick thing, yes, sorry, this is an Access Consciousness class, and Access Consciousness started with the bars, and it's expanded into like 173 countries and a whole bunch of different classes and information on a ton of different topics. They have Joy of Business, Right Voice for You, Right Recovery for You. They even have Talk to the Entities classes, and there's pretty much nowhere you can't go, if that came out right. So, of course, if you have any questions about Access, there's accessconsciousness.com, and you can also find some of the information on my website, and soon there's going to be a whole bunch more up on bodyintegrityclinics.com. So, thanks, guys. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me or find me on Facebook, and I will probably be seeing some of you soon. Have a good night.